Sunday, 3rd of May 2015, and I'm at the Pro-Cathedral in Dublin. Ireland 2015. This is where your donations are going to. €4,000 paid to hire a hitman to silence people. Solicitors and thugs being used. There's no difference between a thug in a balaclava and a thug in a suit in a solicitor's office. Silence is silence. It doesn't matter how you silence people. The Roman Catholic Church in Ireland in 2015 are still using every method, including thugs, to threaten people. Your donations are paying for hitmen now to silence people that speak out about the Roman Catholic Church. Father Frank Kelleher in Cork jailed for 4 years for hiring a hitman. People going in here, people going into churches. Where is your money going? You don't even know. Now we know where it's going in Ireland. It's going to hire hitmen to silence people. Dermot Martin will tell you that the people are not here because there's nothing happening. The people are not here because they're afraid to come here. They're being threatened with solicitors' letters like I have by Mason, Hayes and Curran. They're being threatened now by hitmen. How many more people are being threatened by priests? How much of donations in Ireland is being used by priests to pay hitmen to silence people? Thugs coming to families, to houses where there's families threatening people. Priests in Ireland in 2015. Priest jailed for 4 years.
What's this that you're trying to do now?
This is a priest now in Ireland, jailed 2 days ago. He paid €4,000 to hire a hitman to silence his nephew. Now, the church, as Dermot Martin's telling everyone that there's nobody out now, that everything's taken care of and there's nobody out speaking. The reason they're not out speaking is they're being threatened. And you know who's paying for it? The people that's donating in here. What newspaper? Sorry, what newspaper are you with?
The Irish Times.
Oh, Irish Times, eh? Patsy McGarry crew.
Yeah.
No, what's Patsy got to say about this, I wonder?
No idea, honestly, I couldn't tell you.
I have a rough idea. I know Patsy. Donations being used to hire hitmen to silence people in Ireland. This is not 20, 30, 40 years ago. This is why people are not coming forward in Ireland. How many more is going to come now after this man was brave enough and after the Gardai in Cork did their job? The Gardai in Dublin and Store Street won't do their job. Pearse Street won't do it. Mountjoy Garda Station won't do it. I've been assaulted here. I've been assaulted here on St. Patrick's Day outside here. I was assaulted 100 yards from here after being followed from this church. Gardai still refused to investigate. Cover up, cover up, cover up. Roman Catholic Church in Ireland. People donating to the church and their money being used to hire hitmen. Hiring thugs. Solicitors being used. There's no difference between a thug and a balaclava and a thug in a suit in a solicitor's office. A thug is a thug. Silence is silence. Just for the record, I'll be voting yes. People do, as long as they're not abusing children, they can do what they like in the privacy of their own homes. Vote yes.
Yeah, oh yeah.
As long as they're not raping children. Vote yes. Let people do what they want to do in the privacy of their own homes. Plenty of children were raped in this country by the priests. Where was the referendum there? What referendum would there be for that? 2015, silencing people, 4,000 people going into churches donating money being used to silence people, just to silence them because they want to speak the truth. And look above the door in Latin, testify to the truth, it says. You know, and when you try to speak the truth, they hire thugs. Thugs in balaclavas, thugs in suits in solicitors' offices, anything to silence the people. Silence is silence, doesn't matter how they do it. We've been doing it here for decades in Ireland. So you reckon it's alright to hire a hitman, for a priest to hire a hitman, do you? Anyway, I have you on camera, thank you for saying that. People that speak out are the ones causing trouble. People donating to the churches in Ireland, to the Roman Catholic Church, your money being used by the Roman Catholic Church to hire a hitman, to silence people. This is Ireland in 2015. Father Frank Kelleher in Cork hired thugs to silence someone who speaks out and wanted to speak the truth. This is not 20, 30 years ago. This is today in Ireland. This is where your donation money is going. 4,000. How much did it cost Dermot Martin to hire Mason, Hayes and Curran to silence me? Or should I say, try to silence me? There's no difference between a thug in a balaclava and a thug in a solicitor's office trying to silence people. The truth is the truth. At least the Gardai in Cork had the decency to investigate this man's complaint and have this priest jailed for 4 years. Store Street Gardai, Pearse Street Gardai and Mountjoy Gardai covering up. I've been assaulted on 2 occasions and Gardai refused to investigate. 4,000 of people's money, donations being used by a priest in Ireland to silence someone who is speaking the truth. Priest jailed for 4 years for hiring a hitman to silence his own nephew. How much more would they do to someone who isn't a blood relative? If this is what they're doing to their own family, what are they doing to others? This is why people are not out on the street speaking about the Catholic Church, because they're being intimidated by solicitors, being intimidated by thugs and by gangsters. 4,000 euro of donated money, people's money, being used to hire hitmen. Roman Catholic priests in Ireland hiring hitmen to silence people. This is what's happening in Ireland today. This is the cover-up of child rape in Ireland by the Roman Catholic Church. Thugs in balaclavas, thugs in suits and solicitors' offices. Anything they can find, any way to intimidate people. Garda in Dublin will not investigate complaints against the Roman Catholic Church. 4,000 to hire a hitman. 4,000 of people's money, people who donate, thinking the money is going to a good cause.
Walk down here because that fella's going to fall asleep.
This is Ireland in 2015. 4,000 to hire a hitman. They're all quite happy with it. But this is the norm in Ireland. Watch yourself there, there's a block in the cave and they'll give out. – 2015, Ireland. Your money being used. Donated money. Hiring a hitman. Roman Catholic priest jailed for 4 years for hiring thugs to silence someone, to silence his own nephew. What more would they do to a stranger if they're going to hire a hitman to silence their own blood relative? This is why the people are afraid in Ireland to speak the truth. The Roman Catholic Church are still using every available resource, including gangsters, to silence people. 4,000 euro. Where did the money come from? Who pays their wages? 4,000 taken out of his own bank account. Where did that money come from? Comes from the people that donated, thinking that their money is going to a good cause. It's going to silence people. Plenty to say about voting no. What are they saying about a priest hiring a hitman to silence his own nephew? 4,000 euro, the going rate to silence someone who speaks out. How much did Dermot Martin pay Mason Hayes and current solicitors to silence me, or to try to silence me? How much is he paying them on a retainer? How much is the Diocese of Cloyne paying? All your money is going to silence people. It's going to thugs. It's going to gangsters. It's going to gangsters in balaclavas and gangsters in suits and solicitors' offices to silence people. The culture of intimidation and silencing people in Ireland is still alive. Father Frank Kelleher, jailed for 4 years for threatening his own nephew.
Well, when I was doing the inquiry,
I don't know that.
no, what I'm telling you is
I'm dealing with the ladies right now, okay? I'm asking to give voice on it, right? I've got a lot of people who don't know.
no, that's what I'm doing.
Voice on it.
I'm not doing that.
Well, that's the report I would say, okay? That's the report I
Yeah, well,
would
that's
say.
fine. That's good. People are entitled to say that.
I'm asking to give voice on, that's all.
I'm entitled to be like.
Just don't be too loud, right?
If you,
Don't be too
well,
loud.
and have you got a way of measuring? Can you tell me? Have you got some way of measuring? Well, there is a way of measuring it.
Huh?
There is a way of
I haven't
measuring
got that voice, right? Don't be smart about it, right?
I'm not being
Why not
smart.
keep your voice down, that's all.
I'm not being smart. I'm not being smart.
That's good. That's okay, that's fine.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All good, all good.
Okay. 2015 in Ireland.
Shouting outside the church.
A priest jailed for 4 years in Ireland for hiring thugs to silence his own nephew. What would they do with people that are not blood relatives? Gardai in Cork at least had the decency to investigate this. Gardai in Dublin, Store Street, will not investigate my complaints. GSOC, put my complaints back to Gardai to investigate. To a Garda superintendent who was in Mountjoy and is now in Store Street Garda station. Every avenue that they can try to silence people will be used, including hiring thugs and hitmen. Take that as an example. Is that okay there? You're there now as a witness.
That's not okay, no.
Why is it not?
No words. More.
Sorry?
No
I should have allowed more, nobody would hear me. The objective of a protest is to be heard, isn't it?
Well, look,
Too loud, that's all.
that's fair enough. I think my colleague has explained to you our position in relation to this.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I have no problem with you filling me.
Thank
I
you.
have no issue with that whatsoever. Okay.
Thank you.
But let me just point out to you what our position here is.
Yes.
We'll always facilitate a protest. We'll never have any problem with a protest like that.
Thank
but
you.
other people might not necessarily share the same point of view, and they get worried and they get frightened. I mean, it's as simple as that. I mean, you're quite loud, and
Yeah.
you've explained to me why you're quite loud. But you have to understand that frightens some people. Okay.
Right.
And then that's why they ask us to get involved.
But the truth
okay?
always frightens people.
Well, irrespective of the merits of the argument, one way or the other.
Yes.
Okay. I'm just outlining to you what our position is.
Okay.
Okay. Now, we're reluctant to interfere if someone is having a peaceful protest or something like that. Or we'll never come down and try and deny anyone's right to do that. Okay. But by the same token, we have to acknowledge other people's right to go to mass. Okay. Now, I appreciate you were down here on a regular basis, and everyone understands your point of view. Okay.
Correct.
And as I said, nobody here is trying to interfere with your right to protest. But as well as your rights, we have to think about other people's rights as well. Okay. So I'd be asking you. Okay. I'd be asking you just to bear that in mind. Okay. Just to bear that in mind, and just to be cognizant of other people going to mass. Okay. No one's going to object to your right to demonstrate, but when there's shouting and roaring involved, and when children start getting upset, obviously people are going to ask us to come down, okay? And then everyone just starts shouting and roaring with big arguments, and no one is looking for that, okay? So I'm just asking for a small bit of common sense and a small bit of consideration on your point of view, okay? The more consideration you show towards other people, well, the more consideration you receive, and certainly the more consideration you receive from ourselves, right? Okay, you're happy enough with that, yeah?
Well, I've heard that now. Now, can you hear me?
Well, I mean, whatever
Well,
the merits of your argument or whatever you're
I'm not
protesting
arguing. I
about.
just asked you, can you hear me? I didn't say I was going to argue.
Oh no, I can hear you. There's no issue with
Okay,
that
well,
whatsoever.
can I say something?
By all
Right,
means.
you have said that you'll only come down here on this instance now because, now, are you speaking about yourself or all Gardai? I've had Gardai come down here and intimidate me when I'm doing
Well, look,
nothing,
I can't-
not even speaking.
I can't speak on behalf of other
well, I'm
guards.
just sharing that with you.
There's been no intimidation shown to this morning, Sir Alison, right?
Sorry?
There's been no intimidation shown to this morning.
What's your first
We're
name?
being as fair as we can with it.
Sorry?
We're being as fair as we can with
I'm
it.
talking to someone.
We're being as fair as we can with you this morning. There's been no intimidation.
Accept that, okay.
What's
And
your-
I've heard what you had to say. And
What's your first name?
No, I don't have to give you my name. You know my name. Unless you're charging me with something, unless there's a reason.
No.
He'll tell plenty at Store Street. Joe Leary knows my name. Superintendent Leahy knows my name. Grosson knows my name. You know, if you're going to charge me with an offence, I'll give you my name. Otherwise, okay.
Well, again, I just on a point of law, I would point out to you that if the guards suspect that you've committed an offence under the Public Order Act, and that can be, there's a very low threshold in relation to that as well, shouting and roaring even, that could be considered as an offence under the Public Order Act, and would be lawfully entitled to demand your name and address.
Yes, okay.
And refusal to supply your name and address is an actual arrestable offence.
I haven't been asked
under
my
the
name and
Public Order.
address.
You haven't. No, but we're not going down that road, okay?
Okay,
but
that's
it's just to make you aware.
Oh,
of
I
what
understand
the
all that. That's
legislation
why
is,
I've
okay?
said if you're going to charge me, I will give you my name and address. Date of birth. No, that's okay. I'm not supplying it under those
Now
circumstances.
listen, nobody's looking to confront you, nobody's looking to make a big song and dance about anything here, okay? As I said to you earlier on, the reason I'm here is because I'm hoping to show a bit of consideration to mass goers.
And what is your name?
Fergus Grant is my name, Store
Fergus
Street
Grant.
Garda Station.
Yes. I know the station you're from, yeah.
So, as I said to you, if you can show a bit of consideration towards other people, I'm sure more people will be prepared to show you some consideration.
People show me plenty of consideration here. I've got lots of good friends
Well,
in there.
that's great.
There's a very, very, very small minority complaint. Very, very small.
Okay. Well, look,
There's a small minority make false allegations as well.
Okay. Well, look, no one's trying to be confrontational with you, and certainly we're not trying to be confrontational
Okay, I appreciate
with
that.
you. Okay.
I appreciate
and
that.
that's why I'm coming in here asking you to be to show a bit of consideration.
I appreciate
All
that.
right?
Thank
Good
you.
man.
Thank you.
Good man.
Just to let you know, I'm going off for a coffee now. I'll be back here about 10 to 12 o'clock, and I'll be here outside after Mass after 12 o'clock, okay?
That's no problem.
Okay, thank you.
Need our address. Make me sick. I have to stand out here.
2015 in Ireland, hiring hitmen to silence their own family members that are speaking out. This is Ireland. This is not 30 years ago, 40 years ago. €4,000 of donated money used to hire a hitman to silence someone who speaks out. Archbishop Dermot Martin hired a solicitor to silence me on the 10th of July 2014. There is no difference between hiring a solicitor and hiring a thug to silence someone who's speaking out about the Roman Catholic Church. €4,000 paid by a Roman Catholic priest, Father Frank Kelleher in Cork, to silence someone in his own family who is speaking the truth. €4,000 paid by a Roman Catholic priest in Ireland for a hitman to silence his own nephew. If this is what they do to their own nephew, what would they do to a stranger like me? Archbishop Dermot Martin is telling everyone that there's no victims coming out to speak because there's no abuse. This is why the people are not speaking. They're being threatened. They're being threatened by solicitors. They're being threatened by thugs and balaclavas. There is no difference between a thug and a balaclava and a thug and a solicitor's suit in an office. Silence is silence. Every resource available is being used by the Roman Catholic Church in Ireland to silence people, solicitors and thugs. €4,000 of donated money used in Cork for a hitman to silence his own nephew, Father Frank Kelleher in Cork, jailed for 4 years for hiring a hitman. If you speak out in Ireland, the Roman Catholic Church will hire a hitman to silence you. They will hire solicitors. The Gardai in Store Street will come here and threaten me to try and silence me. Solicitors' letters to try and silence me. How much is Dermot Martin paying Mason, Hayes and Curran to have them as a retainer and use them to try and silence people? How much of your money is being used? How many other priests in Ireland are hiring hitmen to silence people? If they're prepared to use a hitman and pay $4,000 to silence his own nephew, what are they doing to strangers? This is why people are not out here standing speaking, because they're afraid they're being threatened by thugs and by solicitors. €4,000. That's the going rate to threaten. How much would it be to kill? Roman Catholic priests are willing now to pay $4,000 to a hitman. This is not 20, 30, 40 years ago. How long have they been doing this? How many more people have been hired? How many more people now are going to be brave like this man was and speak out? At least the Gardai in Cork had the decency to investigate this. Gardai in Store Street will not investigate complaints. I was assaulted outside here. I was assaulted round the corner. Gardai refused blatantly to take my complaint. They refused to investigate it. They investigated themselves and exonerated themselves from all wrongdoing with the assistance of GSOC.
Are you filming people?
Yes. Public place.
You know that that's menacing.
Public place.
You're menacing.
No, it's not.
You're menacing.
No, it's not.
Get off the street.
It's no,
You're
not.
menacing.
You won't get off.
It's
You're
not.
besetting, menacing, intimidating.
Please, I'm doing a peaceful protest here. Please let me protest.
Intimidating. So you can be a junkie.
Cameras are up there on you. Look, complain about that.
You're menacing.
I'm not menacing anyone. The truth is always menacing. We know that.
Oh, yeah.
If the truth is menacing, that's good. I'm doing my job.
Menacing comes from within.
4,000 is the going rate for a Roman Catholic priest in Ireland to hire a hitman to silence his own nephew. Now we'd like Dermot Martin to tell us how much he's paying solicitors to try and silence me. We know the going rate for a hitman. How much? What's the going rate for a solicitor in a suit? We know the going rate for a thug and a balaclava. What's the going rate for a thug in a suit? €4,000 of donated money being used. €4,000.
Get out.
4,000. Don't threaten me. Don't threaten me. I'm having a peaceful protest.
He has the right.
I have the right. I have the right to free speech. I have the right to free speech. €4,000. That's the going rate to hire a hitman to silence someone who's speaking out in Ireland. What's the going rate to hire a solicitor? Silence is silence. It doesn't matter who the Roman Catholic Church are hiring to silence people. It's all the same. A tug and a balaclava and a tug and a suit. Tug's a tug.
You have the right to speak out. They speak out, don't they?
€4,000. A Roman Catholic priest pays €4,000 to hire a hitman to silence his own nephew, his own flesh and blood. €4,000 to hire a hitman. How many more priests in Ireland are hiring hitmen to silence people who are telling the truth?
No, they're using different methods. They're dropping them as well.
€4,000 to hire a hitman. This is with your donations. This is with the donations of the congregations being used for in Ireland. Hiring hitmen to silence people. This is not 20, 30 years ago. How long has this been going on? How many more priests are doing the same and haven't been caught? One brave man speaks out and one good Garda force in Cork investigate. It results in a 4-year jail term for a priest.